Weird insects start mild, then spiral into creatures with impossible shapes, unreal behaviors, and biology that feels broken. Here's a countdown of the weirdest insects on Earth. Level 1, Water Boatman, Critterology. Do not be fooled by this opening level. The water boatman appears simple, yet its structure hints at deeper oddities waiting ahead. It reaches 8 to 13 millimeters and lives about 6 to 9 months, but its movement is sharper than its size suggests. Once it launches across the water, the entire insect changes personality. Its hind legs pound the surface nearly 30 times each second, firing it forward with a burst of acceleration that looks almost mechanical. A reflective silver air layer wraps around its abdomen, cutting drag dramatically and letting it stay underwater for up to 6 hours without coming up for a breath. When it folds its legs in, its turn snaps tight and immediate, letting it dodge strikes faster predators can't correct for. Frogs lunge at bright reflections and hit nothing. With clean gliding control, the water boatman schemes the surface like a tiny, efficient machine, a surprisingly sharp start for a creature people overlook every day, especially in lists covering weird bugs and creepy insects. Level 2, Antlion Larva, Myrmeleontid. Things shift slightly here. This insect looks like loose soil until movement gives it away, and that subtle reveal pushes us deeper into strange nature. Measuring 10 to 15 millimeters, the larva spends up to 3 years underground before pupating. Below the surface, the antlion larva builds a perfect killing trap. Its funnel-shaped pit can reach 5 centimeters wide, and the walls collapse at angles so precise they function like a slide straight into the larva's jaws. One vibration on the sand is enough to activate it. Hooked mouthparts snap instantly, the prey drops, and digestive fluids begin breaking tissue within minutes. A quick flick of its head triggers a sand avalanche that wipes out every escape route. It can drag struggling insects nearly its own size, using raw leverage inside a pit engineer to favor the hunter every time. This early in the list, efficiency starts looking a little too sharp. Level 3, Masked Hunter Nymph, Reduvius personatus. The lineup gets more deceptive now. This nymph looks harmless until it reveals how thoroughly it hides behind scavenged debris, signaling that appearances will mislead more at higher levels. Measuring 6 to 8 millimeters with a lifespan of about 1 year, it gathers dust and fibers into a thick layer around its body. That layer becomes a full moving disguise. Dust sticks perfectly to its surface, turning the nymph into what looks like a drifting clump of dirt. Predators depending on shape or outline scan right past it without suspecting anything alive is underneath. Even seasoned collectors can miss it at arm's length. The moment it hunts, the illusion stays intact. A piercing beak injects saliva that immobilizes small insects fast. After each molt, it rebuilds the entire disguise from scratch, matching whatever environment it lives in. This is where misdirection becomes a survival system, not just camouflage, making it a standout example in discussions of bizarre creatures. Level 4, Stretch Spider, Tetragnatha. This is where shapes begin to distort. The stretch spider bends form into something that barely resembles a typical spider, showing that proportions can become tools. Adults reach 5 to 9 millimeters and live roughly a year. Its body becomes a straight line when it wants to vanish. Long, thin legs wrap around stems and reeds with exact placement, and the spider flattens itself until it looks more like a dry twig than anything living. Even up close, the illusion holds. It builds low horizontal webs above water, snaring insects as they emerge from below. Geometry gives it the edge, angles and shapes that confuse predators and prey. When it strikes, the immobilization is immediate, ending the calm appearance in a split second. This is the first stage where natural form starts bending away from expectations. Level 5, Lacewing Larva, Chrysopode. The lacewing larva reaches 7 to 9 millimeters and spends around 3 weeks in its active stage. It consumes up to 200 aphids per day while building a defense that looks nothing like a living creature. Debris collected from its surroundings stacks across its back. With hooked jaws, it lifts material several times its own weight and builds a portable disguise layer that hides it entirely. Curved hairs act like anchors, holding every piece of debris in place even while the larva moves. Beneath the pile is a predator that makes clean work of soft-bodied insects, staying invisible until it's already feeding. The stacked armor protects it against beetles and spiders that can't recognize anything beneath the debris. For something so small and brief-lived, its survival strategy is engineered with surprising creativity. If this is wild so far, share the freakiest bug you've ever seen. And here's the spoiler, we're reading every comment. Level 6, Spiny Flower Mantis, Pseudocreobatra walbergi. The spiny flower mantis elevates disguise into an art form, showing that appearance alone can mislead both predators and prey. Adults average 40 millimeters and live 10 to 12 months. The wings carry large circular patterns that resemble eyes. When those wings flare open, the display hits like a visual shockwave, sudden, bright, and designed to freeze anything watching. Petal-like lobes cover the body, matching real flowers so cleanly that the mantis becomes part of the scenery until the moment it strikes. And the strike is fast, 40 to 70 milliseconds. The lobes sway realistically in the wind, selling the illusion completely. Even after the catch, the mantis folds back into its floral posture, looking more decorative than dangerous. At this stage, mimicry stops being a trick and becomes performance. Level 7, Treehopper, Membracity. This is where shape begins to abandon normal limits. The treehopper's extensions turn its body into something closer to a carved object than a living insect. Adults measure 5 to 12 millimeters and live around 4 months. The pronotum rises into wild structural shapes, thorns, leaves, curled helmets, even forms that look geometric or sculpted. With over 3,000 species, the variations feel endless. Some treehoppers stretch those structures to nearly half their body length, allowing them to blend into branches, stems, and bark as if they were grown directly from the plant. Birds using silhouette recognition hesitate, unable to classify what they're seeing. The insect beneath the shape feeds quietly, signals through plant vibrations, and survives by looking like nothing identifiable at all. Level 8, Assassin Bug Nymph, Acanthaspis petax. Now the list crosses into unsettling disguise. The assassin bug nymph collects its victims and turns them into armor. Adults reach 8 to 10 millimeters, with the nymph stage lasting several months. Using sticky secretions, it stacks dried insect bodies onto its back until it becomes a walking mound of remains. The disguise hides its movement, scent, and outline, making predators dismiss it as worthless debris. Prey doesn't recognize the danger until the feeding tube pierces and digestive fluids start working immediately. Every step makes the carried fragments sway, strengthening the illusion. This is where camouflage becomes morbid engineering, and the countdown stops pretending that any of this is normal. From this point forward, every insect jumps in strangeness, and the designs ahead feel increasingly unstable, unpredictable, and harder to believe. Level 9, Jerusalem Cricket, Stenopelmatus. This is where the shapes begin to turn. The Jerusalem cricket introduces a heavier, more grounded form of strangeness. These insects reach 30 to 50 millimeters, with adults living up to 2 years underground or beneath stones. Once it steps into the open, the entire mood shifts. Its body feels too solid for an insect this size, and every step lands with a weight you do not expect. The head plate bulges forward, giving it a face that looks almost human from the right angle, unsettling enough to make people pull back instinctively. Its jaws crush beetle larvae and break through tough roots with ease, driven by muscle strength that shows through its movements. Segmented legs push through compact soil like nothing is resisting them. When disturbed, it taps its abdomen against the ground in steady rhythms, sending vibrations several meters away in patterns that feel almost intentional. A glossy shine spreads across the body in low light, giving it a wet, reflective finish that makes it look freshly unearthed. Despite the intimidating build, it rarely attacks unless cornered. But when it digs, the domed skull distributes pressure evenly, letting it move through packed earth with remarkable efficiency. This level marks the moment the countdown stops playing in familiar territory, especially within strange nature research and entomology facts archives. Level 10, Featherhorned Beetle, Rhipicera spp. The next form bends a little farther. Here, proportions become more experimental. These 15 to 25 mm beetles carry antennae that explode outward into dozens of finely divided branches. Those antennae dominate the insect's entire silhouette, branching into thin, feathery structures that sway with every minor shift of air. At first glance, they look ornamental, almost too delicate to function. But each divided filament is a sensor, widening the beetle's detection field until it can track pheromones from half a kilometer away. The males live only a few months, yet they invest immense energy into keeping those oversized structures intact. Frilled segments catch microcurrents that guide them directly toward females, functioning like biological radar dishes. The narrow, streamlined body exists purely to counterbalance the drag these antennae create in flight. Thread-like branches form a lattice that looks engineered, not grown, and the moment they lift off, the antennae scoop the air and force them into long, sweeping arcs. Barbed edges along the filament strengthen the fragile structure so it does not tear mid-flight. In surveys of rare insects, this species stands out instantly. Nothing else scales sensory equipment this dramatically. By the way, if you've met a bug straight out of a horror film, share it below so we can judge together. Level 11, Scorpion Fly, Panorpody. This level drops something stranger. The scorpion fly combines familiar traits into an arrangement that feels mismatched yet functional. Adults range from 9 to 25 millimeters, surviving about 1 month. The long, beak-like rostrum gives it an unexpected profile, built to peel soft tissues from recently dead insects with unsettling precision. At the opposite end, the male curls his abdomen upward in a perfect mimic of a scorpion's tail, a bluff display with no stinger but plenty of intimidation value. The pose alone is enough to make predators hesitate. Its wings carry patterned, shadowed bands that shift with the light, creating flickers of dark and pale as they move. When it takes off, those striped segments flash in a rapid sequence that disrupts a chasing predator's aim. Scorpion flies linger around forest edges, scavenging in quiet clusters, their curved abdomens giving them a deceptive sense of menace. Even though the threat is fake, the silhouette fools more than enough would-be attackers. Here, insect design begins blending unrelated forms just to gain an advantage. Level 12, Brazilian treehopper, Bosidium globulare. The Brazilian treehopper pushes the countdown into surreal territory. This tiny insect measures 6 to 9 millimeters but carries spherical projections lifted high above the body on rigid stalks. Globular structures appear perfectly round, as if manufactured. Those spheres serve no known sensory or defensive purpose, they are simply there, an evolutionary curveball with no clear function. Their hollow interior keeps them lightweight, letting the insect move freely despite the bizarre architecture rising above it. Each orb stays perfectly balanced even while the insect crawls along thin twigs, the stalks absorbing every shift in motion without bending. Under sunlight, the shapes cast strange, floating shadows that make the insect look disconnected from its host plant. Observers often assume they are looking at a parasite, a fungus, or even a tiny alien device until the insect finally moves. The species lives only a few months, yet it leaves one of the strongest impressions of any creature on this list. In catalogs of bizarre creatures, the Brazilian treehopper consistently ranks near the top, nothing else wears structures this surreal for no apparent reason. Level 13, Devil's Flower Mantis, Idolamantis diabolica. Each feature drags the design into stranger ground. The Devil's Flower Mantis marks a dramatic escalation. Reaching up to 130 millimeters, it becomes one of the largest and most visually intense mantises on record. When it unfolds its limbs, the insect transforms instantly into a display of color and motion. Petal-like extensions spread outward, revealing a palette of reds, blues, greens, and creams arranged in patterns that look hand-painted. These flared lobes open in sharp, sudden bursts meant to overwhelm predators long enough for the mantis to strike or escape. The wings mimic layered blossoms when held open, but when folded, they compress into narrow segments that hide the entire design. Its strikes stay under 70 milliseconds, giving it an edge over fast-moving prey like bees and moths. As it rises into an upright defensive posture, its size becomes truly apparent, tall, spreading, and shockingly theatrical. Among weird bugs documented in entomology research and photography, few species attract as much attention as this one. The Devil's Flower Mantis does not just survive, it performs. Level 14, Vinegaroon Whip Scorpion, Thelaphonida. The insect now pushes realism to its limits. Although not technically an insect, its structure fits perfectly within the rising strangeness of this list. Vinegaroons reach 40 to 85 millimeters and can live up to 8 years. Their bodies look like plates of armor fused together, giving them an ancient, almost prehistoric presence. Extending from the abdomen is a long whip-like tail, not for stinging, but for sensing vibrations and navigating in complete darkness. When threatened, the Vinegaroon fires a spray of acetic acid with enough concentration to create an immediate sharp smell, stopping predators mid-approach. Its pedipalps act like strong claws, capable of gripping prey and holding it steady as it feeds. The segmented tail moves with surprising precision, sweeping the environment for obstacles or signals the creature cannot see. Despite its intimidating appearance, the Vinegaroon avoids confrontation, spending much of its time digging or searching for shelter. It fits this level not because of aggression but because its design straddles the line between familiar arthropods and something more experimental. Level 15, Thorn Bug, Umbonia crassicornis. This final shape reaches the far edge of biology. The thorn bug concludes the countdown with a form that looks impossible yet thrives in tropical regions. Adults measure 5 to 8 millimeters and live roughly 3 months. The towering pronotum rises above the insect like a sharpened spike, mimicking plant thorns so convincingly that predators overlook it entirely. The structure contains hollow chambers that reduce weight while keeping the shape rigid enough to withstand impact. When viewed from the side, the spike hides the body so completely that the insect blends into branches as if bolted in place. Fine ridges run along the surface, imitating the natural patterns of bark and stems. The thorn bug communicates through vibrations sent along plant surfaces, transmitting signals to others hidden around the same branch. Its horn silhouette, impossible as it looks, works flawlessly as both camouflage and deterrent, the kind of adaptation that easily anchors the finale of any weirdest bugs countdown focused on rare insects and extreme mimicry. And that's every level wrapped, from harmless oddballs all the way to creatures like the Jerusalem cricket that look straight up designed to haunt your dreams. The deeper you go into the insect world, the more you realize nature doesn't hold back. If you want to keep exploring weird, wonderful, and slightly cursed critters, hit subscribe to Critterology and stick around. There's always another creature waiting to surprise you.